Hey everyone, welcome to the Sharpshooter. My name is Chris Maloney. It's about just after 11:30 on Sunday evening. Earlier today, Smash Wrestling was in town at the London Music Hall here in London, Ontario. Presented Orange is the New Smash night number 2. Pretty good show. Showtime was roughly about 4:45 all the way up to about I want to say about 8, just past 8 o'clock. About a 3-hour show, including the intermission. Like I said, pretty good show. I'm just going to go and run down the results right now, as well as my thoughts on the show, my thoughts just on the environment, everything else. I want to try to get in the habit of doing this, fresh after the show, just so everything's fresh, in my mind. And, it's kind of a teaser for the upcoming Sharpshooter podcast, which I'll do later this week. But just for those interested in the event that happened tonight, I'm just going to recap and, like I said, give my thoughts and maybe share a few more thoughts on some other things as well. So, like I said, earlier today, Smash Wrestling presented Orange is the New Smash, night number 2 at the London Music Hall. Main event was the remix of Professional Wrestling Kevin Bennett defending the Smash Wrestling Championship against Psycho Mike Rollins. One dark match, pre-show match in this one that had Ethan Dukes, so Tyson Dukes' boy, fresh out of the Tyson Dukes Wrestling Factory here in London, Ontario. Ethan defeated Sonny Bassi by pinfall in this one. Pretty good debut. A few spots missed, but first match in front of a crowd, this size, like London Music Hall. It's we had the regular Smash fans there, as well as Tyson was looking on as proud papa. Tyson's wife as well. Child with them, and Ethan's family was there to support him. So, pretty cool moment for him. The end result came for Sonny Bassi, probably I'd say closer 10-minute match. I just if I had to take a guess, but really good match for the two guys out of the out of the Tyson Dukes Wrestling Factory. So props to Ethan, props to Sonny Bassi for getting better and better, and Ethan, congrats on breaking through, and I hope you have a long and legendary career. So good job tonight. From there, match number 1 took place for the main event, the main show. Tarek defeated Joe Coleman with Idris Abraham. So the Halal Beefcake teammates there. Tarek defeated him by pinfall. Tarek hitting his usual spots. The big thing about this that I completely forgot about was I don't know if Tarek has had his chance to get his hands on these guys since losing the Smash Wrestling Championship. But the cool thing is Tarek was just, you could see him. He was just fueling to go. He wanted to rip these guys' heads off. The referee had to hold him back. And then as soon as that bell rang, Tarek just went nuts. Outside interference, of course, but Tarek was just a house of fire tonight, so to speak, looking to gain revenge on anybody who was part of him losing that title. Title meant everything to him. So, Tarek obviously coming out in this one. Long story short, he's probably going to make his way through Joe Coleman next. Sorry, not Joe Coleman. Joe Coleman was who he fought tonight. He beat Joe Coleman, Idris Abraham next, and eventually find his way to Kevin Bennett. More on that at the end of the show. I'll go into details there. Match number 2 had the Revolt, that is Tyson Dukes' wrestling students as well. Alec Realm and Jordan James defeating Maritime's Most Wanted, that's Little Blay and Dylan Davis by pinfall. Gimmick was kind of comedic, not for the Revolt, but for Maritime's Most Wanted. As a Maritimer, somebody who grew up and was born in New Brunswick, I can say we don't talk like that, we don't dance like that. So it's not a whole time Maritime thing, but comedy act for sure. Little Blay, like I said, Dylan Davis, right down to the accents and everything else. They almost had the Tyson Dukes, the old school dance that he used to do going on, but pretty good performers. I mean, they hit some really cool moves and spots and everything else, but Revolt going over in this one. So good job, Alec Realm and Jordan James. Post-match, though, however, had King of the North, Carter Mason, hit the ring and basically laid out the Revolt and basically said, hey, Tyson Dukes come out, and no Tyson Dukes. So Carter Mason was kind of like, well, you know what? If you don't want to come out, then this is what is going to happen, and this is going to continue, and I'm going to take things further. And that was that. So Carter Mason making his presence felt early on the show here. And we'll have to wait and see if there's anything more leading up to Super Showdown 7 taking place in Toronto next month. So, like I said, that was match number 2. Match number 3, 9-person gauntlet match. I'm not going to go through the entrance, but I will go through the eliminations. So Pharaoh Bowman defeated Chris Mitchell by submission. Mark the first one. Marcus Burke defeated Pharaoh Bowman for the next. Holden Albright defeated Jody Threat by pinfall for the next one. This chorus of boos for this one. From there, Jim Strider defeated Kyle Boone by pinfall. Marcus Burke defeated Holden Albright by pinfall. Marcus Burke again defeated Jim Strider by pinfall. So there's 3 for him. Then it came down to the Muscle defeating Marcus Burke by pinfall, and then Violet Lee defeating the Muscle by pinfall to win the gauntlet match. And Sean, the Scumbags of Wrestling, and I had done a kind of a pre-show predictions type thing, and I predicted Violet Lee to go over in this one, so good job. The ending saw Muscle and basically Violet Lee celebrating, and they were like, Muscle was like, we won, and then they're hugging and celebrating, and then also the next thing you know, Violet Lee falls on top of the Muscle, and referee counts 3, and that's the way that Violet Lee had won. So anyway, Violet Lee, the winner of the 9-person gauntlet match. Match number 4 was the finals of the 2019 Smash Wrestling Tag Team Invitational. And I didn't realize this, but apparently this used to be the Fateful 8 is what they used to call this. So what they wanted to do is give teams across the country chances to be able to kind of make their mark as far as Smash Wrestling went. So this one had 3 teams come down to the finals. So Killscreen, who's obviously local boys, London, Ontario here. Hacker Scott O'Shea and Golden Gun Mark Wheeler. Sabotage, who is Justin Newhook and Matt Connors, and they are, I believe, they're the Maritime boys. So Maritimers, being represented here, and then TDT, Matthew Singh Jacques, and Thomas Dubois, who's a very popular tag team in Canada, especially in Quebec, and here in Ontario as well. So they're representing FLQ Wrestling, which was kind of cool. This was called a tornado match, but it was kind of like a tornado elimination match. So what happened here? Killscreen took out Sabotage in the first fall by pinfall, eliminating them. And then Killscreen defeated TDT by pinfall to win the 2019 Smash Wrestling Tag Team Invitational. Amazing match. A lot of hardcore, high-flying, hard-hitting, action taking place all throughout the ring, all outside of the ring. They didn't make our way to where we were, which was kind of right up, leaning up against the stage, kind of towards the entrance area. But they took it pretty much everywhere else. At one point, fans were holding some of the guys, some of the teammates of Sabotage, I believe, and TDT was doing their best to chop the crap out of them. So definitely a lot of fan interaction. Fans were explosive as far as being into this match, and TDT, and just the amount of things that these wrestlers, and I've said this before, we take for granted what they can do in the ring. But coolest thing about this is I finally got to see TDT. I was kind of upset a little bit because I was thinking to myself, hey, I'd love to see them at Super Showdown 7, but not meant to be. So it's going to be Killscreen in that one, and we were talking about that earlier before we got into the doors there at the music hall, and somebody had mentioned that Scotty O'Shea, as of yet anyway, wasn't booked to be part of the Super Showdown 7, and then sure enough, here we go. So him and Mark Wheeler going on to, I believe, wrestle for the tag team championships at that one. So Killscreen taking on Halal Beefcake. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the match that's going to be taking place. Up next was the intermission. Of course, Smash Wrestling does an amazing job, with fan interaction and mingling, and guys getting out there and signing autographs and this and that. So I mean, it's one of those things that, sorry, dealing with a cat right now. One of those things that Smash Wrestling does best is, like I said, the fan interaction, and sorry, distracted by the cat again, just to see what he's gonna do. Maybe we should have brought him to the show, but anyways, Smash Wrestling and their intermissions is amazing and I'll try to get to my point because of the fact that I've seen it here in London. I've seen it at Fanshawe College. I've seen it at the Phoenix, in Toronto and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter who they are. They'll come out and they'll interact with you and spend the time to get to know you as a fan. And you can ask them questions. So a lot of these guys will not, not charge money for autographs and stuff like that. Again, as a Canadian indie wrestling fan, buy the merch and stuff like that, because that's how you support these guys. These guys obviously getting, payments, to wrestle that night, but it's the bread and butter on top of, to know that they're out there and you're interested in their product, whether it be a t-shirt or, a picture or just any kind of, promo pick or whatever the case may be. And Hello Beefcake's one of those teams that's absolutely amazing as far as the interaction goes. Fans are always lining up to get their autographs and take pictures with them. Cody Deaner's another one. Tyson Duke's another one. It's just, and when they bring in the guys from the other provinces or outside of, Canada, so to speak, like the Orange Cassidy or TDT or even last time Smash was at the London Music Hall, and we saw TJP. A lot of good interaction between these talented guys and the fans. So anyways, long-winded story. Yes, intermission is amazing as well as far as the Smash show goes. Match number 5 took place after that triple threat match. The endorsement: Sebastian Suave with Anthony Kingdom James defeating Cody Deaner and Orange Cassidy by pinfall after getting the pin on Orange Cassidy. So this originally was supposed to be just a one-on-one match between Cody Deaner and Orange Cassidy. Sebastian Suave was promoted to be on the show, but there was nothing mentioned as far as who he's going to be facing, and Kingdom was right there alongside him in the picture. So sure enough, Cody comes out and huge pop. Orange Cassidy comes out, and the first time I've ever really got to see him in a match, and it's absolutely amazing to watch this guy in 2019 do what he's doing and to get the pop response that he does. So he comes out, fan interaction, fan support and everything else going on, and then all of a sudden the music hits, the endorsement comes out, the double thumbs up. Kingdom gets on the mic, praises the heck out of Sebastian Suave. Says it's basically bull crap that, Sebastian Suave isn't in this match. Then goes up to Orange Cassidy and says, hey, is okay if Sebastian's in this match? And Orange Cassidy, just the laid back, cool guy he is, was like, yeah, it's okay, or whatever he said. Very, nothing major that came out of it as far as him throwing a promo or anything like that. But then all of a sudden, Kingdom goes over to Cody Deaner, and Deaner wasn't taking it too well. And sure enough, beer's happening and beer's spilling. And the next thing you know, Cody Deaner says, yeah, I know how to fix this, and I know how to answer you. And then next thing you know, I think it was, I don't know if it was Kingdom or Sebastian. I think it was Sebastian got swatted with a punch to the mouth. So match gets underway. Very good match. Spots between Deaner and Orange Cassidy and spots between Sebastian and Orange Cassidy were absolutely phenomenal to see, because like I said, it's hard to believe this guy 2019 is getting the pop that he does. But I mean, I was laughing. It was, you had your gifted athletes in the ring, but at the same time you had your comedy in the ring as well. So pretty cool to see. Anyways, like I said, Sebastian goes over in this one. Obviously, they're building him up to be a tremendous heel. I still can't believe him and Kingdom are doing their thing, because I thought they were going to come to blows by now. But be interesting to see where Sebastian fits in as far as Super Showdown 7 goes. Last year, he fought Tarek in that brutal I Quit match, I think it was. So anyways, it'll be interesting to see, like I said, where Sebastian fits in. But great match, and definitely look forward to seeing Orange Cassidy with anything he does, because he's a gifted, tremendous talent. And it's not just his character, but he's got the wrestling ability as well. So it's pretty cool to see him live in person, and congrats for bringing him in there, Smash. And especially at short notice as well, because originally it was supposed to be Sean Spears in this match. It's supposed to be a tag team match, and then Spears canceled, or things fell through, whatever the case may be. So Orange Cassidy gets double bookings, yesterday and today, and fans were excited, and he was out there signing merch and everything else. So again, props. Thank you, Smash, for bringing in Orange Cassidy. Match number 6, we saw the Wrestling Machine Tyson Dukes defeating the Sultan of Shawarma, Idris Abraham, tough to say, with Joe Coleman by pinfall. So Dukes gets the win in that one. Post-match, though, is where it set up the storyline. So King of the North, Carter Mason, is backstage being shown on the video screen, and Carter has laid out Ethan Dukes with a chair backstage. So Tyson, in the ring, concerned, obviously takes off backstage. This feud between Carter Mason and Tyson Dukes is almost reminiscent of basically Tarek and the endorsement there. Sebastian Suave, but we'll see, because Tyson, as gifted as he is an athlete and just kind of that old school wrestler, has this edge to him, and if you try to walk that edge, he's basically gonna slap you silly and basically show you what it's like to be a real wrestler. And it's amazing to see, because you've got Carter Mason, who's talented, but he's tiny compared to Tyson Dukes. So it'll be interesting to see when this this feud comes to a climax, as far as that one-on-one type match that Tarek and, like I said, Sebastian Suave had last year. So looking forward to that. Can't wait to see that. But I mean, Carter, I think you've bitten off more than you can chew in this one. So that's just me as a wrestling fan. Match number 7 of the night, and this was the main event, had the remix of Professional Wrestling Kevin Bennett defeating Psycho Mike Rollins by pinfall to retain the Smash Wrestling Championship. Post-match, Tarek hit the ring to looking to destroy the Kevin Bennett experience, but they fortunately escaped. Big highlights of this match was basically Psycho Mike's conscience getting on the backstage mic again and basically saying, hey, you're not supposed to win this. You're never going to run as champion. So let Kevin, win the match. And sure enough, Mike lays down in the middle of the ring. Kevin Bennett lays on him 1-2. And then Mike's like, oh, wait a second. He goes, that doesn't sound like me, and anyways, Mike Rollins in a match, comedy. It's, again, two skilled, talented wrestlers in this one, but you've got that added element of Mike Rollins, who, like I've said before, is probably one of the most underrated wrestlers in North America, if not the world. Few of these guys should easily be on the pro scene. And when I say the pro scene, it's no disrespect to the Canadian independent wrestling scene, but I'm talking your AEWs, your ROHs, your New Japan Pro Wrestling, even Impact Wrestling, a pay-per-view tonight. So a lot of these guys, when I shake my head when I'm watching them do what they do, and like, holy crap, how are these guys unsigned? But I think, I think they'll get their due. Knowing what I do about indie wrestling, you look probably a 5 to 10 year span as far as when you see a guy versus when you see a guy up there on TV and stuff like that. Sean Spears is one of those guys. Cody Deaner, we're watching him on Impact Wrestling on a regular basis right now. Guys like Michael Elgin, Showtime Eric Young, for example. The list goes on and on and on. It's late, so a few guys on my mind, of course, but it's that transition, and it's that perseverance, and it's trying to hold on and make the daily life work, as far as having a full-time job, and all of a sudden doing the wrestling on the weekends and staying in shape and looking to get your break finally. So it's I say a lot of perseverance. Give these guys the credit and the due that they deserve, and but like I said, there's a few of these guys who I see that I wouldn't be surprised if a year from now they're coming back as guests and not mainstays as far as the Canadian independent wrestling scene goes. So anyways, kind of cool in this one, to see Psycho Mike here. But like I've said on another show, it's was great to see him, go to Japan, but at the same time, sad to see him come back. And it's I think it's only a matter of time for a guy like that. But anyway, great main event between Kevin Bennett, Psycho Mike Rollins. Of course, you had the experience getting involved, and but I mean, that's the fun of it. It's Smash Wrestling, and it's unpredictable at times, and they give you what you want, and they always. I never have gone to a Smash Wrestling event. I've probably gone to at least 10 now in a couple of years, and I've never gone home being like, well, you know what, that sucked. But anyways, props to Smash Wrestling, and props to the Canadian independent wrestling scene for keeping me a fan as long as they have. So anyways, that was Smash Wrestling tonight. And if you didn't have a chance to see it, I want to ask you why not. Tickets are only usually about $20, and you get the time of your life. And you go to McDonald's, you get 2 meals, and you're almost close to that mark. So, and they have an A&W right in the London Music Hall. Wasn't open today, probably because of Sunfest going on. But anyways, yeah, next show here in London. There are shows coming up close: Kitchener, St. Thomas, Dresden. But I think the next show coming up is the one with Gail Kim, and that's taking place in August. So I believe that will be after SummerSlam week. I think it's the 24th, if I were to think about it. But yeah, Gail Kim's coming to town, so it could be an absolutely amazing event. And again, at the London Music Hall, and one of my top venues as far as all of wrestling goes, just because of the intimate feel of it, and the lighting, and just the sound effects, and the crew, and yeah, everything you get to see at a Smash Wrestling show. So props to Smash Wrestling. It's in our city, so I'm going to talk about it the same way Sean does. And you want to come to London, I'll talk about you too. So no bias at all, but I am a fan of Smash Wrestling. So anyways, talk about being a fan of stuff. Impact Wrestling is another one of those things I'm a fan of. I was telling Sean today, it's unfortunate that they don't have the financial backing behind their product, because they have some of the most talented wrestlers in the world. They also have some of the best matches to ever take place in the world. And I am going back to the days of the Chris Sabins and the Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and the Rhinos and all these guys, back then and there, who were making their mark. And I'm talking probably 13, 14 years ago at this point. They knew how to do it back then. They know how to do it now. And they've gone through some tough periods, the Hogan Russo era. And hey, we're going to do a 4-sided ring. No, we're going to do a 6-sided ring. No, we're going to do a 4-sided ring. It's like, but with guys like Don Callis at the helm, and Scott D'Amore, Ed Nordholm, I want to say that's correct. Gail Kim being part of that women's division, it's an amazing, promotion that doesn't get the exposure or the praise that they should. And in saying that, when I got home tonight, Impact Wrestling presenting Slammiversary 17 tonight. So I turned that on. I was lucky to see 2.5 matches actually. So I got to see Rich Swann and John Morrison, Johnny Impact, take place, half of that match anyways. And it looked like Morrison was going to win, but then Rich Swann just went nuts at the end of the match. It hit him with, I think 10 moves in a row for anybody like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat era. Ends up getting the pin, and it was a strong pin for Rich Swann. Definitely a strong X Division champion, so good for him. Next match after that was the World Championship match, which I thought was going to be the main event, but it wasn't. So it was Brian Cage and Unbreakable Michael Elgin. Of course, two big bastards going at it. Stiff shots and going power move for power move and everything else. And it looked at one point that Michael Elgin could have taken it. Sorry, but Brian Cage comes out on top, retains the world championship. And it wasn't with a power move; it was kind of with like a roll up. And then next thing you know, Michael Elgin post match looks to go nuts on Don Callis, has him in the ring. Sure enough, some guy comes out of the crowd, does these similar movements to this guy known as Rhino, and you really couldn't tell because he's all dressed up in black, but fans were chanting "Gore, Gore, Gore," So it looks like Rhino is back in Impact Wrestling, which is kind of cool. But I mean, he is a Windsor, Detroit guy who was part of the BCW promotion and very tight with Scott D'Amore, which it's rely on your strengths and your friends and stuff. So looks like I said, Rhino is back in Impact Wrestling, former Impact World Champion, back in the days of the Christian Cage era and stuff like that. So very cool to see Rhino back. And obviously he's done with Heath Slater on WWE television. So we'll look to see what happens there. And finally, main event time came up to Tessa Blanchard and Sami Callihan. Both of them had their own baseball bats coming out. I'll tell you this, for an intergender match, it was basically a wrestling match to sum it up, that had a lot of brutality. I mean, Tessa and Sami were going kind of move for move as far as just stiff shots, and Tessa gave it her all, and Sami was, basically treating her like just a normal wrestler, not treating her like a female. Couldn't believe some of the stuff that Tessa was taking from Callihan. But Callihan, like I said, it wasn't holding back. Unfortunately, Tessa wasn't able to come out with a victory on this one, but she did take it to Sami Callihan, to the point that Sami, after the match, had grabbed both his bat and Tessa's bat, and had kind of cornered her and as opposed to do anything at all, he kind of hands her bat, leaves the ring as a show of respect. So, I mean, between Tessa Blanchard and the match that she had with Gail Kim, to this match tonight, she is basically, in my opinion, the future of wrestling. And I'm not just talking women's wrestling, but I'm talking wrestling. She's an amazing talent. She has got the lifeblood in her. ROH reference, but I'm saying that is as far as the skill set, the mentality. She grew up around the business with her dad being Tully Blanchard, her stepdad being Magnum TA, and then with all of that comes the Dusty Rhodeses and the Ric Flairs, the Road Warriors. All those people that she had met or was influenced by. You think about WWE and the people that met Andre the Giant when they were little kids. There's one photo of The Rock and Andre, and that was because of Rocky Johnson and stuff. So that business is bred into Tessa Blanchard. She's a gifted athlete. She, from what I understand, loves the business 200%. And seeing her in the match with, like I said, with Gail Kim, and then seeing her in the match tonight with Sami Callihan, she is the future of this business. And I think whatever she wants to accomplish in the wrestling business, she will. And it's like I said at the start of the Impact stuff I was talking about. They have some of the best matches, some of the best talent, and unfortunately, they don't get the praise that they deserve. So, anyways, that is that. I'm gonna wrap this up. Like I said, if you didn't get a chance to see Smash Wrestling, check it out on the Fight Network because they will replay these matches probably within the next couple of weeks. Impact Wrestling, I go back and watch the rest of Slammiversary probably within the next 24 hours or so. As far as other wrestling stuff going on right now, New Japan kicked off G1 Climax yesterday. Down there in Dallas as well. So that's officially underway. Some surprise wins. So G1 Climax, for anybody who's unfamiliar with it, is 19 nights. The first night took place in Dallas. The rest will take place in Japan. I think the next show it'll be night 2 B block taking place July 13th. But what happens is for every win, you get 2 points. For every loss, you get 0 points. For every tie or draw, you get 1 point. So at the end of the A block, B block at night, I think 17 and 18, that's who decides who goes on to the G1 Climax final. Night 19 is the final, and then the winner of that goes on to Wrestle Kingdom 14 next year in January to battle usually for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship of the world. So it's an interesting tournament. You've got 10 guys on both sides, 20 people in total, and like I said, some of the highlights, some of the results that I saw from the first match, or not the first match, but from the first show. I haven't watched the show yet, but like I said, the results I've seen it kind of surprised me. So it'll be an interesting tournament. I don't think your picks, as far as when you see these names, might not actually go against each other in the finals. So, anyways, like I said, that is that. Check out wrestling any way you can. Independent wrestling, pro wrestling, wrestling online, YouTube, the stuff that I do as far as the Sharpshooter podcast or the Sharpshooter website goes, and that's at thesharpshooter.ca. Any comments, suggestions, questions, CCLM76 at thesharpshooter.ca. Big things planned for next month for SummerSlam week. Got some interviews lined up as well as check out my buddy Sean, his stuff, Scumbags of Wrestling, of course. He's got his Facebook group with the fans. He's got his Scumbags of Wrestling podcast that he does. I think he's up to episode 60. I want to say 63 right now. 64, I think it'll be this week. Huge fan of Smash Wrestling, huge fan of WWE, but he's a educated fan of wrestling in general. So there's stuff that he will talk about, and I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And all of a sudden I'll go and look it up on the internet. I'm like, oh yeah, he was actually right. So I have a lot of wrestling knowledge. I've been following it probably for 40 years, and I'm only 43. And Sean, probably doubles my knowledge as far as wrestling goes. So like I said, scumbags.ca, or go on Facebook and check out the Scumbags of Wrestling, whether it be his fan group or basically, his Scumbags of Wrestling podcast Facebook group as well. So that is it, everybody. Hashtag we are scumbags, hashtag sharpshooter without the vowels. If you send a Google on that, you'll see pretty much everything I posted. Like I said, check out the Sharpshooter website at thesharpshooter.ca. And until next time, look for the podcast sometime this week. And like I said, check out a Smash show when you get the chance. And thank you everybody for listening, and have a great night.